connection takes time and it's not an instant thing. And one thing that I've realized, which I find fascinating, is the double standards that we have for children and what we have for adults. Because shy does have a negative connotation. It's very rarely, or if ever, used as a as a word of endearment or to like big somebody up. Hi, my name's Nicole, the host of Squiggly Motherhood. Welcome back to another episode. Before we get started on this one, I just wanted to say, if you have not listened to the Parenting Through Grief episode, check it out. It was released last week. And if you are interested to know my personal thoughts on the episode and interviewing our incredible guest, Rachel, subscribe to my Substack. I release a newsletter and also a voice note with my thoughts around the episode as well. So all the details are in the show notes, but make sure you subscribe. Now let's dive into the episode. So I really just want to set the scene for you. So as a family, we are going to a friend's event and I'm fully aware that there's going to be a lot of people there. But most importantly, there's going to be a lot of people there that my eldest doesn't know. And so I'm already feeling a little bit apprehensive, thinking, okay, not quite sure how it's going to go down, not quite sure how she's going to kind of interact with everyone that's around her. A little bit like, oh, there's a lot of people, And as we walk into the event now, everyone's like, hi, Nicole, how are you? How are you? Oh my gosh, your kid's amazing. And they're being really loving and they're being really kind and they're being really affectionate, trying to talk to my eldest. And she kind of looks at them blankly and stares and doesn't say anything and kind of like nuzzles her head into my body and as I kind of pick her up and stuff. And instantly I'm told, oh, she's so shy. Oh my gosh. Why won't she talk to me? She's so shy. She's so shy. And I instantly go into, oh no, well, she just woke up, or oh no, well, I guess she is a little bit shy, or oh no, it's not just you. She's kind of like that of everyone. And I hear myself making excuses or kind of feeling awkward and embarrassed because she doesn't instantly warm up in an environment where she doesn't know anyone. And I find myself almost apologetically responding back to the people that I'm talking to. And so that's exactly what I want to talk about in this episode. Why do we want our kids to perform, to put on a show, to be the most outgoing versions of themselves for people who they truly don't know? And if I'm going to be really frank and honest, for people who don't know them. And my journey of moving away from feeling awkward, away from being apologetic to how my children behave in that moment, moving away from that and moving closer to being advocates for them in that moment and using language to speak positively about them and to affirm them in every space. So I really just want to take you for how long this is going to take, I'm not quite sure yet, but take you on that journey of how I've kind of moved away from being, as I said, apologetic towards advocacy for my kids in this particular context of talking about my child or children being shy. Now, one thing that I've realized is when kids are around strangers, we kind of expect sometimes we're around individuals, if it's family, if it's friends, all well-meaning, but we expect children to act a certain way. We expect them to talk to you. We expect that they're going to hug you. And actually, I'm talking about young kids here, but actually connection takes time and it's not an instant thing. And one thing that I've realized, which I find fascinating, is the double standards that we have for children and what we have for adults. Now, sometimes I feel like we hold children to a far higher and greater standard than we hold to ourselves, than we hold to other adults. And they are just kids. They should just be able to walk into any room in the same way that I walk into any room and, be quote unquote confident, have a conversation, walking totally fine, not have any issue with that. But actually, adults don't do that. Loads of adults feel really nervous walking into an environment where they don't know anybody, or they don't know that many people. Loads of adults find it incredibly hard to start up a conversation or to engage in a conversation with people that they do not know. Why do we have that same expectation for children? And I guess going back to myself, why did I have those expectations for my kids? Now, I just want to focus on that word shy. And I think a lot of times it's used to kind of describe a child's slow to warm nature, I guess you could call it. But actually, kind of let's keep it 100. Let's be really real. Is shy ever used in a positive way? Really? Is it ever used in a positive way? I think of being outgoing. I think of being confident. People are like, yeah, those are all like really positive traits. I'm yet to hear the word shy ever be used in a positive trait. And so when I have adults telling my child that they're shy, I could only think of that being something that's negative. And therefore, I don't want that to become the story that she tells herself. And I actually remember leaving one of those events like a few days later, and my eldest was saying to me, Mummy, I'm shy. Mummy, I'm really, really shy. And I was like, hmm. And suddenly I was curious because I like to go like approach things from a place of curiosity, especially when that's just like when the kids say something that's totally random out of the blue. So we delved into that a little bit deeper, and I was like, oh, well, I don't really think you're shy. Like, you do this, this, and this. Like, where did that come from? And it kind of created a little bit of a conversation. But it's the idea that a narrative that somebody has that has not a deep relationship is kind of placing words or placing thoughts and opinions on them that are not true, and that is based on very little. Because in that moment, my child did not choose to perform for them in the way that they wanted to, without engaging or getting to know my child in any meaningful way. So I knew that I had a little bit of a issue with this, I guess. Like, it was stirring up feelings inside of me of that, as I mentioned earlier, feeling like I had to kind of apologize or overcompensate because the shy word was mentioned. I was like, oh, no, no, no. And I felt like I had to kind of jump in and, as I said, overcompensate and apologize for this kind of behavior. And I really had to reflect and be like, why? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I doing this? Why is this a thing for me? And being really real, I never really got to the answer of why, but I came back to what I wanted my eldest to feel at any given moment. I wanted her to know what I thought about her and what I believed to be true about her, and to and to kind of like have those thoughts show up and be present in those moments. So with a bit of confidence and kind of practicing it again and again, recent event that we went to, people said that, oh, you're being really shy. Are you okay? Oh gosh, you're so shy. And I kind of said, no, she's not shy. She just doesn't know you yet. She's super comfortable with adults that she's familiar with and that she knows, but she's absolutely not shy. And I just said it point blank as that, no apologies, straight to the point. And I felt good and happy that in those moments, I was able to say right there and then, this is what she is not, and to just shut those conversations right down. I guess some of the things that I want my children to know is that I feel comfortable to advocate and stand up for them in the moment. So in the moment when, shy is being used. And the reason why I'm picking on that word so much, shy, is because shy does have a negative connotation. It's very rarely, or if ever, used as a as a word of endearment or to like big somebody up. So I want to kind of shut down those narratives that I believe to be false and untrue. And listen, that's not to say that it's good vibes all the time and we only affirm, and sometimes criticism or critical thinking has to be applied to our kids when it's by somebody who has a meaningful relationship with my children, not coming from essentially strangers. I also want them to know, and again, this is in an age appropriate way, and even if it's small, that consent matters. If you're feeling some kind of way in your body and you don't feel comfortable for whatever reason, you are not required to hug or to touch an adult, period. Like, you don't have to do that. But by building in that habit and letting children know what it feels like to be uncomfortable, and then also to listen to that uncomfortability, not override it, but to listen to it, that is helping them build up understanding of what consent means and understanding of listening to their body and being in tune to their body and not overriding those feelings. Do you get me? I hope you're understanding what I'm saying there. To listen to your body and listen to the uncomfortability and to not override those feelings. I also wanted it to be the case that no one else is right. I mean, I'm saying this as if to say no one else is going to write my child in a script. Like, that's not true. Like, there's going to be lots of outside influences, lots of people, family members, friends that will come in and write up, my children's inner script and kind of form and shape who they are. But again, in those moments where there's someone who does not know who you are and you are there and you are listening into those conversations, you are able as a parent, or I feel like for me, to come in and kind of say something. And also what's quite important is that they're hearing you say that about them. Oh my goodness. I think there's so much power in having your child be there as you're bigging them up, or be there as they're hearing you go, no, you're not. Oh no, she's not shy. Actually, it's X, Y, and Z. And, she will be her full self when she gets to know you a little bit more. I think there's so much value in hearing children children overhearing conversations, and maybe I'll do another episode on that. So what can adults do? So where I feel like adults who my children are less familiar with and they're really trying to make an effort, where I feel like it works really, really well, it's just being like super authentic and super engaged in whatever they're doing. So if they're playing with a truck, you're super interested in the truck. You're not trying to get them to play with like the doll's house. You're fully there. You're fully interested in whatever they're interested in. And I think the key thing is, like zero expectations. Like kids, especially young ones, they're not socially conditioned. So they were like their full authentic self, which has so much beauty in it, but they're not going to be, they're not going to like be polite for the sake of being polite. Do you know what I mean? They're not conditioned in those ways, in the same ways that us adults are. So I say all that to say, don't expect them to, give you eye contact, to respond to everything you say, to do all that stuff. And I'm not saying that in a way that, oh, therefore, by them not doing that, we're raising children who are rude and disrespectful. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is take it slow, build up the relationship, appreciate where they are at that moment, and also appreciate that everybody's different. And also in the back of your mind, remember, there's loads of adults that absolutely hate being in environments where they know no one, and the different types of feelings and emotions that will show up for them are probably going to be really, really similar to the sorts of feelings and emotions that are going to show up for children as well. So I guess just to kind of like wrap up, close, my final thoughts is that words have meaning. Words have power. They hold power, and everything that we say and we communicate with our kids and that our kids absorb from other outside influences, they hold some weight, they hold some power. And if we're in a position to control that, I think there's kind of benefit and goodness, I guess I could say, in doing that. And so, yeah, guide that script, rewrite it in real time if that's possible, and be an advocate for your child in any way that looks like. So that's my journey from being quite awkward with being told my child is shy to then kind of just slowly, bit by bit, reframing it in my brain first, and then just getting a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable with saying, oh, no, they're not shy, XYZ. So yeah, those are my thoughts there, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. See you soon. Bye. If you have enjoyed this episode, please share it with people. Share it in your community, to parents, on group chats. Please review and rate wherever you're listening. It just helps other people to find us. Follow me on all social media platforms at Squiggly Motherhood. And last but not least, in the show notes, please subscribe to my newsletter. Every week I will be sharing a newsletter to my listeners, to my readers, about my motherhood journey, about me being an intentional parent, and sharing some tips and advice with you. Please subscribe to my newsletter. You will absolutely love it. So I will end it there, and I will catch up with you all next week. Thanks, guys. I went back to work after my maternity leave, and I struggled. I struggled to go to work, to maintain a house, to cook, to clean, to look after 2 toddlers. It was just a lot. The mental load was insane. My to-do list was so long. And I was thinking, what can I do to make my life easier? What can I do to kind of outsource the stuff I have on my to-do list? And the first thing that came to mind was food. And so I turned to HelloFresh. I went online, I picked the recipes that I wanted, the ingredients was delivered straight to my door, and I was able to cook freshly cooked meals for my family in 30 to 40 minutes with the help of my daughter. And just like that, the mental load of having to cook, which I absolutely hated at that point, had completely gone in the bin. So for all my listeners of the podcast, I'm giving you a discount for HelloFresh, so you have one less thing to think about. Go to my show notes, click on the link, and give yourself that discount of HelloFresh today. Remove that extra thing of your to-do list and make your mental load a lot lighter. Check out my show notes now.